What's up, everybody? I'm Jessie Coffield. I am back with DraftKings contributor Kenny Ducey and DK Nation's Stan Son for some NBA high or low. So are the following spreads and totals too high or too low on tonight's 6-game slate? So guys, Clippers on a 5-game winning streak, looking to stay hot tonight, favored by 2.5 over the Pacers. Kenny, too high or too low? The Clippers are 7-3 against the spread in the last 10 games.
Yeah, this is too low, Jesse. Look, people continue to disrespect the Clippers with Kawhi out, with Paul George out, with both of them out, with, everyone out, Patrick Beverly out. Like, how many times have we been in this spot before where there's a star out for the Clippers, they're a short favorite, and we go, oh boy, they're not gonna cover tonight. They always cover, right? I think it's got to be 100% that they cover in these spots. This Pacers defense has been really bad. They've allowed 125 points to the Grizzlies, 137 to the Timberwolves. That is atrocious. Now they don't have Miles Turner, who leads the team in turnovers forced. The Clippers, you mentioned, they're 7-3 in their last 10 against the spread. 4 of their last 5, they've covered the spread. And this defense for the Pacers, I just don't understand how it gets the job done here against the Clippers team. It's potent on offense. They have so many guys that can attack you. Serge Ibaka has been so important to this team. I don't see the Pacers even coming close to winning this game, despite the fact that, I'll give them credit. They've been playing well. They're trying to claw their way up the Eastern Conference standings, get to the postseason picture. They're right there on the edge. But tonight's just not the night without Miles Turner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that on that note, Stan, the line's moved to -3 for the Clippers. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Kenny is wise, so everyone should listen to Kenny. Matt shaking his head there. So last night the spread was Clippers -2, so it's gone up, half a point today. So people know. I think Kenny hit it on the spot. The Clippers get disrespected when there's injuries. Indy, they're 9-15 at home. Clippers are 15-10 on the road. In 10 games without Kawhi this season, they're 6-4. Against the spread, the Clippers have covered 58.2% of the time this season. Indiana, they're 21-31 for 41.4% clip. Only the Houston Rockets are worse at covering the spread. So,
all right, guys. Stan, specifically, Jazz, the heaviest favorite by far. They were 17-point favorites over the Thunder. It's moved to -16.5. This is back-to-back for them. Too high or too low? OKC is 0-6 against the spread across the past 6 outings.
Yeah, it's a high number, but I still think it's too low. I think Kenny touched on it in the last segment. OKC, they stink right now. They're in Operation Tank. Utah, they haven't been playing well, but they're trying to get ramped up. They want to, get ready for the playoffs. So at home, the Jazz are 24-3. They've won 17 games by over 17 points this season. They cover at a rate of 61.1% against the spread. OKC is only at 46.2%. These teams met earlier in the season, but that was like in the first month of the season. The Jazz only won by 1, but that's when they had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they had Al Horford, so now it's a completely different team. And I think just the, where we're at in the season, the Jazz, hefty number, but I think, they should cover.
All right. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, I agree with Stan here. I do think it's too low. The Jazz are 8-2 against the spread on the second at back-to-backs. I think that cold spell against the spread snaps here. You're going to see, you might see heavy Diallo minutes in this one. Hamidou Diallo for the Thunder, because Alexei Pokusevski, I did try to pronounce it that time. He's been the only guy that's been looking okay for the Thunder, and now he's hurt. He has a sore arm. He's questionable for this game. I'm not sure who the Thunder are going to look to on offense. I'm not sure how they stop this juggernaut that is the Jazz. We've seen so many blowouts here over the last week as teams deal with injuries. And I'm sorry, I know this is a high number. It's one of those where you just feel like you have to take it because it's so high and the Jazz haven't covered in 6 games. But this is a big bounce back spot for the Jazz. Again, we talked about the defensive inefficiencies of the Thunder, but Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are both in really good spots here. They're both going to have big nights, and the Jazz are going to win this one at a romp in the Jordan Clarkson Memorial Game.
Okay, well, Kenny, the Suns favored by 3 over the Heat at home. Do you feel like this is too high or too low?
I think it's too low here. The Suns have been cover machines at home, and look, I know that the Heat are 5-3 on the second night of back-to-backs. They're 15-2 against the spread after a win. They're 13-2 against the spread on the road. All that's well and good, but listen to those winning percentages. I mean, the Heat have not been a good team against the spread. Those are the best things I can say about their ATS record here. It's really bad. So I think the Suns, where they play well at home, the thing about the Heat that, first of all, is concerning is that only 2 guys over the last 7 games have shot over 33% from 3, and that's Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Now, Tyler Hero carried an injury into last game. He ended up playing, who knows what's going to, how he's going to respond here. But the thing about the last game that the Suns won, was that they allowed a ton of threes to the Thunder, and that kind of kept them in the game a little bit. It was 40% from 3. I don't think the Heat are going to be hitting threes at nearly the same rate. I think this gets out of hand. Also, the Heat are terrible rebounding the basketball. Bam Adebayo is great, but one of the things he does not do is control the glass very well. Over the last 10 games, they're near the bottom third of the league in rebounding rate. DeAndre Ayton should eat down there. And I think this Suns defense, just eventually the Heat will succumb to the pressure of this Suns defense. They've been overachieving. They're going to be tired here. And as well as they've played, they just don't have the offensive firepower out now without Victor Oladipo to get past a team that's playing such efficient basketball like the Suns are.
Yeah, Stan, you think that Oladipo being out is going to catch up to them?
Yeah, for sure. Both teams are top 10 in defensive efficiency. I like what Kenny was harping on, the rebounding rate. This, big advantage there. There's also a huge spread in the offensive efficiency ratings. Phoenix is number 5. Miami's way down at 23. And, Kenny alluded to the lack of 3-point shooting, the offensive proficiency. So that's going to be huge. Phoenix is 21-8 at home, 9-1 in their last 10. Miami's 13-12 on the road. Against the spread, Phoenix, they're tops in the league at covering, 64.1%. Miami only covers at 44.3%.
All right, good stuff, guys. Celtics and Blazers, pretty high total tonight. 230. That's a big jump up. It was at 227.5. Do you feel like that's too high or too low, Stan?
It's a big number. I'm going to go over here. Boston games, they typically, slog down and they've gone under 51.8% of the time. Portland games have gone over 52.8%. But I think Kenny alluded to it earlier when he was going for Jaylen Brown, Evan Fournier, some of the Celtics players. The Portland Trailblazers do not play defense. They're 29th in defensive efficiency. They are at home, so home teams. I like home teams to kind of take care of the pace, control the game. So they want to get up and down the floor. I think Boston's going to be able to go right there with them. I think both teams score a lot of points in this one.
All right, Kenny, do you agree you want the over here, even though that's a big number?
So the one thing that's pointing me to the over is that on the second night of back-to-backs, the Blazers, the over is actually 7-5 in Blazers games, which is pretty impressive. But I look at the Celtics defense, they're 5th in defensive efficiency. I really thought that the Blazers would do a better job here against Miami. I know that they have one of the 6 best defenses in the NBA, or 5 really, as it were. But this guy loves my pick, apparently. I have to take the under. I think this is too many points. Just again, there have been inefficiencies with the Celtics scoring the basketball. Their defense has been really good. And the Trailblazers offense, which has been so good all year, they've kind of slowed down a little bit. So not to mention, Stan did make a good point that the Trailblazers, they do not play defense. But over the last 10 games, that Trailblazers defense actually hasn't been as terrible as you remember it. 19th. In defensive efficiency. They've made some strides there. I thought they'd be better last night against a bad offense in the Heat. They weren't, but here I think that maybe they show back up. I think the total's a little too high, Jesse.
All right, we're short on time, so Slate approved pick real quick. Favorite bet on the slate, Kenny, what is it?
I'm going back to the Suns -3. It's my favorite here because again, the Heat, I think that they got a little bit lucky last night that the Trailblazers came out flat. This team does not score the basketball. They do not rebound well. And the Suns do both. They do everything well. They're top 6 in defensive and offensive efficiency. And again, I just think that I'm taking the better defense by a slight margin, but the better offense by a very wide margin here. And I like the Suns to cover at home where they always cover.
All right, Stan, favorite bet on the slate?
Yeah, that was my favorite bet as well. I like the Suns a lot in this one. No, all good. Like I said, Kenny is wise, right? Listen to Kenny. I'm going to go Utah. I like the Utah game as well. The number is really high, but I think they're at home. OKC sucks. I think they're going to put the smackdown on them.